Most people feel financially stuck because they're measuring themselves against the wrong benchmark. They compare their inside stress to someone else's outside appearance, and that gap feels impossible to close. But what if the problem isn't your income or your discipline? What if it's that nobody actually explained how small, invisible decisions compound into your financial life? 3 years ago, this shift happened quietly. It wasn't a raise, a side hustle, or waking up at 4 in the morning. It was something much simpler and much more powerful. Small behaviors stacked on top of each other, each one almost invisible by itself. But after a few months, the compound effect became obvious. The stress started lifting. The checking account stopped jerking around. Goals that felt fictional became actual plans. And the strangest part? It required less willpower, not more. It required less time, not more. It just required clarity about which decisions actually matter. In the next few minutes, I'm going to walk you through 17 specific shifts in how you think about money and habits. These aren't abstract tips, they're behaviors that directly interrupt the cash leak that happens inside every paycheck. He'll show you why each one matters, how it compounds, and where most people get stuck trying to implement it. But here's the thing that changes everything: most of these habits work so quietly that you won't feel like they're working until suddenly one day you realize you're not anxious about money anymore. The first shift is about what you let into your mind. Wealth building doesn't start with more income. It starts with what you consume versus what you create. Think about your week. How many hours did you spend watching other people live versus hours spent building something, even something small? Most people spend their free time in receive mode. They scroll, they watch, they listen to other people's stories. And there's nothing wrong with that on its own. But there's a gap between consumption and creation that matters. When you shift toward creation, even 20 minutes a day, your relationship with money changes. You stop seeing yourself as a consumer waiting for the next payday. You start seeing yourself as a producer, and producers think differently about money than consumers do. Results vary, but the people who built real wealth almost always started by doing this shift first, sometimes without realizing it. The second pattern most people miss is about the people in their circle. This isn't about being snobbish or cutting people out. It's about being honest about which relationships are pulling your financial thinking in which direction. Every person in your life has a different relationship with money, a different set of habits, a different fear or ambition. You become a blend of those perspectives over time, whether you notice it or not. If most of the people you spend time with normalize certain spending habits, that becomes your normal. If they normalize saying yes to every request and invitation, that becomes your normal. The reset here is simple. Notice it first. Who are the people you spend the most time with? What do their financial lives look like? What habits do they normalize? This isn't about judgment, it's about honest assessment. Once you see it, you can decide if it serves your goals. Now here's the twist about building confidence in yourself. Especially when the goal feels far away. Most goals feel frozen, too big, too uncertain, too far in the future. So the mind defaults to doubt. You wonder if you're the kind of person who can actually do this. You've tried before, you've failed, or quit, or forgotten about the goal halfway through. So why try again? The third pattern interrupts this directly. It's documentation, not in a complicated way, just recording the small wins as they happen. When you complete a goal at work, you write it down. When you save an unplanned amount of money, you capture it. When you notice you said no to something that didn't serve you, you log it. This is the part nobody notices. Your brain is looking for evidence that you're the kind of person who can do hard things. Right now, your brain has a file labeled evidence, I can't do this. And its pretty full documentation starts building a competing file. After 2 months of recording wins, something shifts. You start moving toward goals differently because you have proof that you've moved before. Gratitude works similarly. This feels philosophical until you notice how it works mechanically. When you're in scarcity mode, worried about money, anxious about the future, your brain is in threat detection. Everything looks like a problem. Everything looks like a cost. Gratitude shifts the lens. When you specifically notice what's working, what you have access to, what you didn't have to struggle for, your brain starts seeing abundance instead of just lack. This doesn't mean ignoring real problems. It means rebalancing your attention so you can actually think clearly. Most people can think clearly about money when they're in pure survival mode. Gratitude is the reset that lets clarity come back. Here's where it gets real, about the systems you're running without knowing it. Most people think budgeting is about restriction. It's about denial, so they resist it. But the pattern that actually works is different. It's about 3 categories: fundamental, which covers your actual needs; fun, which is where you decide what lifestyle actually brings you joy; and future, which is any money moving toward tomorrow. This categorization matters because it stops the weird guilt loop. When you've decided that 20% of your money goes to fun, you can spend it without anxiety. It's allocated, it's planned, it's not coming from the future money. When you haven't decided, every purchase feels like you're stealing from something else. You're not, you're just not clear. The math is simple. Take your after-tax income, divide it into those 3 buckets. How much is truly essential? What's genuine joy spending? What goes forward? And let the categories make the decisions for you, instead of emotions making them in the moment. This is where it gets expensive for most people. They never do this math, which means the default budgets them at about 95% spend, 5% save. The fourth pattern about money itself is education. Not complicated investing education. Just understanding 1 hour a week, maybe during lunch, maybe after dinner. You spend 1 hour learning about how money actually works, what compound interest means, how taxes actually work, why inflation matters, what diversification does. Most people live their entire lives making money decisions without understanding the basic mechanics. It's like driving without knowing how the engine works. You can do it, but you're dependent on someone else's advice. When advice changes, understanding doesn't. After a few months of deliberate learning, you move from confusion to clarity. You notice financial conversations differently. You see traps before they happen. You understand your own decisions. Results vary, but the shift usually feels like relief. Now, here's where most people get stuck. They need to develop comfort with specificity. When your goal is vague, I want to save more or I want to invest, your brain can actually work on it. It's like asking someone to go that way. Which way? How far? What's the landmark? Specificity changes everything. Instead of I want to save, the shift is amount for purpose by date. Let's say $30,000 for a down payment on a home by the end of 2027. That's specific. Your brain can work with that. You can reverse engineer monthly savings. You can track progress. You can adjust when the goal is vague. Nothing happens when it's specific. Something has to happen because your brain is now looking for opportunities and solutions, instead of waiting for motivation. The fifth shift is about saying no, which is harder than it sounds. Most people carry a deep-rooted feeling that saying yes to requests is the right thing to do. It's polite, it's helpful, it's what good people do. So they say yes when their schedule is full. They commit to projects that don't serve their goals. They buy things that don't matter to them. Each yes by itself seems small, but the accumulated yes start to define your life in a direction you didn't choose. This feels like lack of time, or lack of money, but it's really about lack of boundaries. The pattern here is a question on a scale of 1 to 10. How important is this versus my actual goals? If it's below a certain number, the answer is no. No is the word that protects your yes. Once you understand that, declining becomes different. It's not rude, it's clarity. Most people miss the math about what no's actually save. If each distraction costs you 5 hours a month, and you're spending 20 hours a month in distractions, that's roughly 50% of your actual productive time. 50 hours times $30 hourly value equals $1. 500 per month in lost productivity or opportunity. Results vary depending on your actual hourly rate, but the pattern is consistent. Unclear boundaries are extremely expensive. Here's the part that changes everything about how you think about return on investment. Most people treat self-investment differently than financial investment. If they're thinking about buying a stock or property, they ask about returns. What's the yield? What's the timeline? But when it comes to learning, health, relationships, they don't ask the same question. The pattern shift is to ask it anyway. What's the return on this education? What's the return on this skill? What's the return on this relationship? Some returns are financial, some are capability, some are stress reduction, but they're all real. The highest return investment most people ever make isn't in markets, it's in themselves. When you become more capable, more clear, more skilled, every opportunity that comes into your life gets filtered through a higher quality lens. You make better decisions, you see better opportunities, you negotiate better. Results vary, but the compounding is visible within months. The sixth pattern is about income diversity. Most people have one income stream, their job, that's stable until it's not. Then it's terrifying. The shift isn't complicated. It's about noticing what skills you have that other people would pay for. Maybe it's freelance work in your field. Maybe it's consulting, maybe it's selling something you make. Maybe it's writing or teaching or building. The income doesn't have to be huge. It just has to exist in more than one place. This sounds impossible when you're already tired from your main job. But most second income streams start small and take minimal time once the system is set up. Side income $500/month times 12 months equals $6,000 per year in additional capital. That's not nothing. That's an extra emergency buffer, or an extra year of investing runway. Results vary based on what you're selling and how much time you invest. Now here's where most people create unnecessary friction in their own lives. They make decisions too many times every morning. What should I wear? Every lunch, what should I eat? Every evening, what should I do with this hour? Decision fatigue is real. The brain has a limited number of good decisions it can make in a day. Once you've exceeded that limit, decisions get worse and worse. This is why people eat pizza at midnight after a hard day, even though they said they wouldn't. This is why they make impulse purchases. This is why they do things that don't serve their goals. The pattern shift is automation. You decide once, then the system decides for you after that. Uniforms for different contexts, meal plans, time blocks, automatic transfers to savings, simplified choices. Every decision you remove from daily life is a decision you didn't have to make, which means your actual important decisions get better. This is not boring. This is clarity. The seventh shift is about the conversations you're willing to have. Most people treat money as a private topic, something you don't talk about. This creates information asymmetry. You don't know what things actually cost. You don't know what other people are earning. You don't know what's normal and what's inflated. So you make decisions based on incomplete information. The pattern here is simple. Normalize talking about money. Not to everyone, not inappropriately, but to people you trust. People who care about your goals. Ask questions. Share what you're learning. This is the part nobody notices when you start actually talking about money with people you trust. You realize you're not alone in your stress, and you get access to information that would cost you years to discover on your own. Results vary, but most people who start having these conversations make better financial decisions within weeks. Here's where it gets interesting about what small actually means. 1% improvement per month doesn't sound like much. It's almost nothing, but the math is not linear. 1% per month is roughly 12% per year. After 3 years, it's roughly 35% better after 5 years. You're looking at 60% better. This is not about making giant changes. This is about noticing where you're losing efficiency and tightening just 1%. Where's the energy leak? Where's the money leak? Where's the time leak? Not everywhere at once, just one place. That's enough. The pattern is attention because what you measure, you improve. You don't have to be perfect. You just have to be slightly better than you were, consistently. The eighth pattern is about how you think about systems. Most people think about wealth as individual decisions. I made good decisions, so I'm doing well. But the people who build real stability aren't relying on perfect decisions every single day. They're relying on systems that make good decisions easy. They automate their savings so the decision happens once. They automate their bill payments so friction disappears. They automate their investing so emotion doesn't enter into it. This is the part most people overlook. Wealth building is not about willpower. Willpower fails. Systems don't. Once you set up a system, it runs without you having to be perfect. This is how people with normal discipline build wealth. They're not more disciplined. They're just less dependent on being disciplined every single day. Most people think about savings wrong. They think spend everything, save what's left. The pattern that works is the opposite. Decide what you're saving, then spend what's left. This is not a philosophical difference. It's a mechanical difference. When savings is an afterthought, the account doesn't grow. When savings is the priority, it happens automatically. Target savings $1,0000 month. TCRES 12 $12,000 per year. After 5 years, that's $60,000, which is usually when things start to shift. Things get less scary because you have buffer. Results vary based on your income, but the timeline is usually similar. Here's what most people don't understand about their own attention. You are constantly being marketed to approximately 4,000 marketing impressions per day. Roughly, most of them are designed by teams of people whose entire job is to make you want something. They're good at it. They use psychology, timing, social proof, artificial scarcity. The pattern that works against this is awareness. You don't have to become paranoid or reject everything. You just have to notice. When you see a social media ad, pause and ask, did I notice this because I need this, or because someone paid for me to notice it? When you feel urgency to buy something, pause and ask, is this actually urgent, or am I responding to artificial scarcity? Most impulse purchases fail this simple test. Most of them wouldn't happen if the pressure wasn't applied. The mental shift is to give yourself permission to pause, which means fewer purchases that don't actually serve you. This is not deprivation. This is clarity about what actually brings you joy versus what you're just responding to. The ninth shift is about how you think about your actual needs versus your lifestyle. This is where most people get stuck. They upgrade their lifestyle as their income goes up. New apartment, nicer car, better neighborhood. None of this is bad by itself, but it happens unconsciously, which means the ratio of spending to income stays basically the same. Person making $40,000 per year is as financially stressed as the person making $100,000 per year, because both are spending 95%. The pattern that works is a decision. You decide what brings you actual happiness, not what looks impressive, not what your neighbors have, what genuinely brings you relief, joy, or capability. Then you fund that. Everything else is extra, and extra requires active decisions, not defaults. Once you separate your needs from your wants, from your genuine values, the spending becomes different. It's aligned. Here's where most people create unnecessary complexity about their money. They have accounts everywhere. Different banks, different purposes, unclear balances, scattered information. This creates overhead. When you're looking at your money, you should know instantly what you have, where it is, and what it's for. The pattern is simplification. Fewer accounts, clearer labels, one dashboard view if possible. This removes friction from checking your progress. When it's complicated, you avoid checking. When it's simple, you check naturally. And what you check naturally, and what you check, you improve. This is not about being obsessive. It's about making honesty easy. The 10th pattern is about energy and attention in networks. Most people network by trying to get something. They're looking for opportunities, connections, favors. This approach is exhausting because it's obvious, and people feel the transactional nature. The pattern that works is different. It's about what you can give. What knowledge do you have? What connections can you make? What can you help with? When you approach relationships from abundance instead of scarcity, they feel different. People want to reciprocate. Opportunities come back to you naturally, instead of through forced networking. This is the part nobody mentions. The richest people you meet aren't rich because of opportunity or luck. They're rich partly because they have a big network of people who want to help them, because they spent years helping others first. That relationship building is an investment, the same as any financial investment, and it compounds the same way. Now, here's the element that stops most people from even starting. People wait for perfect conditions. They want to feel completely ready before they start. They want the perfect plan, perfect timing, perfect circumstances. This never arrives. The pattern that works is different. Start before you're ready. Start with what you have. Start with what you know. Perfection is not the goal. Progress is every single successful financial change in history started with imperfection, started with incomplete information, started with uncertainty. But it started. The people who waited for perfect conditions are still waiting. The people who started with 50% information and adjusted as they went built actual wealth. This is the hardest pattern because it requires accepting discomfort. But discomfort is the price of movement. Most people think about money emotionally. That's where the stress comes from. But the pattern that works is to think about it systemically. Don't ask yourself, why am I bad with money? Ask yourself, what system am I running that produces these results? Systems produce results. Bad systems produce bad results. Not because you're bad, because systems work. If you don't like the results, change the system. This simple shift moves you from self-blame to problem-solving, from shame to clarity, from stuck to moving. They have accounts everywhere. Different banks, different purposes, unclear balances, scattered information. This creates overhead. When you're looking at your money, you should know instantly what you have, where it is, and what it's for. The pattern is simplification. Fewer accounts, clearer labels, one dashboard view if possible. This removes friction from checking your progress. When it's complicated, you avoid checking. When it's simple, you check naturally. And what you check, you improve. This is not about being obsessive. It's about making honesty easy. The 10th pattern is about energy and attention in networks. Most people network by trying to get something. They're looking for opportunities, connections, favors. This approach is exhausting because it's obvious, and people feel the transactional nature. The pattern that works is different. It's about what you can give. What knowledge do you have? What connections can you make? What can you help with? When you approach relationships from abundance instead of scarcity, they feel different. People want to reciprocate. Opportunities come back to you naturally, instead of through forced networking. This is the part nobody mentions. The richest people you meet aren't rich because of opportunity or luck. They're rich partly because they have a big network of people who want to help them, because they spent years helping others first. That relationship building is an investment, the same as any financial investment, and it compounds the same way.